Hello, and welcome back to Wyoming Watch, the Wyoming Tribune Eagle's weekly podcast. I'm Taylor Staples, your arts and entertainment and features reporter. This week, I spoke with Kathie Selden and Nicole Kang about the Delta Kappa Gamma used book sale coming to town on March 7th and 8th and 14th through 15th. The book sale will be hosted at the Frontier Mall in the old Joanne Fabrics, as well as the old Justice store between Buckle and FYE. Stick around after the interview to get a roundup of this week's upcoming events, as well as what's been in the headlines this past week. Now, back to the show. Kathie and Nicole, thank you for joining me. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes. Just for our listeners out there, Kathie, how long have you been volunteering with the Delta Kappa Gamma used book sale?
I've been with it for 40 years.
And then Nicole, what about you?
Oh, dear. I'm going to go with about 16-ish.
Mm-hmm. What have kind of your guys' roles been? Have you been a volunteer for all 16 years or?
Yes. I initially joined because my partner teacher was a member, and so she brought me in to be a member, and I was immediately helping with the book sale. I do some other jobs, I'm the current treasurer of the group.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm on the board, and I help with a variety of different things with the book sale, including the children's room, which Kathie and I are both in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, Kathie, I know you've shifted roles quite a few times, too, so.
Well, my major role over many, I don't even know when I started, was beginning doing the PR. Mm-hmm. And thank goodness Nicole is my helper because I'm not real as good on computers as she is. So.
I tech a little.
Yeah, you tech a little. Love that. And I know we were kind of talking before this about locations. Where have you kind of gone from and why are you at the Frontier Mall this year?
Well, we started in 1983 was our first book sale, and we had about 6 tables out in the middle of the mall. And I think we made about $600. And then we did that for about 3 years while I was there. So I think we were probably in the mall there for 5 years, 6 years. Arby's used to be in the mall, and they had booths. And one year we were in Arby's, and we had to work with the books and the tables and the booths. It was so we've been a lot of places. We've been at Western Auction. We were down in what's now the police department before they renovated it.
The liquor warehouse.
The liquor warehouse, the print shop.
Yep.
Yeah. We've been a lot of places.
Yeah. We've used Eastridge a couple times when it wasn't in use that year. We jump around.
The problem being that we started out small. And if you've been to the book sale, you'll know that we are pretty big, and we have to find a large space, and it's very difficult to do that now that we're so big.
We need something that can handle us being there for about a month to a month and a half. We need something that has ample parking for all the cars and people that need to come. And so it's just very specific requirements.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned you need the space for a month and a half, too, because I was going to ask the timeline about how long volunteers are there from setup to tear down and kind of what their hours are per night and how many nights a week volunteers are there. Yeah, tell me all about that.
Well, volunteers, those of us who are retired, we're there all day for 8 weeks. I mean, something like that. But teachers and people that are still working, we have 2 nights a week that they can work and on the weekends. But there's somebody there every day when we open, which was February 2nd, I believe we started picking up books. So from February 2nd, and we will stop picking up books on March 1st.
It's at least 8 hours a day, every day of the week. There's someone in there, if not a dozen to 2 dozen or more.
At a time.
Yeah.
Because it's a huge job, because we have thousands of books and puzzles and games and whatever, CDs and DVDs. Just thousands of them, and it takes forever to sort all that.
And I remember in our initial interview, you said 70-ish people, but it also fluctuates because people bring their husbands and their wives and their kids. And
We have approximately 75 members in our group, and they all try to put in whatever time that they possibly can. Some obviously can do more, some can do less, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But we have those members, and then those members, a lot of, especially the retired ones, if their husbands, if they're able and like to, they come and they put in a lot of time. We also have the scouts who come in and put a lot of hours helping. We have clubs from all 3 high schools that have been coming in and doing some sort of help to get things done. Yeah, so
And the
it's...
ROTC.
Yep, the ROTC from East comes in and helps.
Yeah, it's a full community effort. I want to go back to the location thing really quick because I know that back in October, the west side of the mall flooded and like the Joanne side and everything.
Yes.
So, I mean, you guys had already picked the location at that point, right? So how did you navigate?
For the first time in the history of our doing this, someone came to us and said, we have a space for you.
Oh.
That's the first time.
And it wasn't last minute. We're always last minute, which we understand because people are hoping someone will lease their space.
Yes.
And so they don't want to make that decision to commit to just a month and a half. But yeah, they came several months in advance to us and asked if we would be interested in signing and having it there. And we said, absolutely, that would be fantastic. And that was, September, October, which was fantastic. But then
the flooding happened right after you guys basically commit to that?
in the store that we had wanted to lease.
Of course.
Yeah, of course that would happen. How did you guys navigate, that challenge, and what was kind of going through your head immediately, like figuring out how you had to replan the whole thing?
Well, the mall was amazing. Their management out there was absolutely amazing in communicating with us to coordinate what was going on, what the timeline was going to look like, if there was going to be a delay. And we just decided, well, we do this last minute all the time anyway. We can do this sort of still the same last minute plan.
Yeah.
And it ended up we only had to push it back a week from our original plan, which was not bad. But they just needed, the concrete was not dry when we originally wanted to start. And that's not okay. We don't want to be on wet concrete.
Especially with books and paper and
That's not a thing. So we just had to delay a week, but that was minor. So we just pushed everything back 1 week and we're good to go.
Yeah, because March has always been the time for it. So
But we had a space because if we had been in very much later, we'd run into spring break.
Yeah.
That would not have been good.
Yeah.
So we managed to squeeze it in between the flood and spring break.
Yeah, and the mall was offering, they were willing to work with us and give us temporary space and place to store things if we needed.
Nice.
And so they were awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
Speaking of the mall, you guys have the second location that's in between the Buckle and the FYE, the old former Justice location.
Yes.
At what point did you guys realize you would need a second space?
Almost immediately.
What was that, 4 days?
We started getting loaded with books immediately.
And it just wasn't working.
And I walked in to help sort one day, and Nicole said, I have something to say to you. And she said, we're moving into it. And I went, whoa, because we'd already set up quite a bit.
We had set up, but our section is the children's section. So we have babies to young adults, teaching, parenting,
Puzzles
all of that.
and games.
And then puzzles and games, they're fun. They came with us. So we all went down to the old Justice location, and we're just
And it's a
setting up
beautiful
down there.
space because they have a big rainbow that
Yes.
they add in, and the carpeting.
Yeah.
We have carpeting in there.
Yeah, no concrete for us.
Very fitting for the items that are in the room too. Very
Oh,
like the
absolutely.
child wonder aspect of it. And
Exactly.
yeah, I love it. I'm curious at this point, where can people donate? What times? And what's for the very few days that are left to donate? Where and when can people do that?
The location, if they can bring them directly to the site, that is the best option. And it has to be by Sunday afternoon at 4:00 at the absolute latest. But we're open every day between 9 and 4 on the north side of the mall. So it's kind of on that back side. There's a a loop with a door between Appliance Factory and Baumgar's. There's a door back there with a garage.
Gotcha.
And so
Okay.
people can pull directly in there between 9 and 4 a drop-off anytime before we close on Sunday. There were also boxes at some of the stores and places around town, like Safeway, the North Albertsons, Gold's Gym, Sprouts, the Pickler, and the North Beach Please, where you can drop off a smaller load of books. Those boxes will be picked up Sunday night. So if you walk in there on Sunday at 6 p.m. and the box is gone, please don't leave the books there.
Yes.
Now, we also take calls if you have a load you need picked up, but we will be shutting that down. The last pickups will be on Sunday. So if anyone has books they want picked up, they can call 421-1755. But you need to call before, I'd say Saturday afternoon to have any chance. And that's iffy. We'll see. And you have to be within a 10-mile radius of town.
And please don't ask those two gents that are so good about this to bring them up from the basement or something.
Please, yes.
So have it on your porch or in, close or in your garage, something like that. Well boxed.
March 1st. Don't
March-
wait till the last minute.
Do not.
Yeah.
March 1st at 4 o'clock.
At this point in the donation process, how much have you gotten? Do you have any kind of estimate or
No,
ballpark?
but it's interesting because after we stop collecting, we have one gentleman who always wants us to count. So we do a count of all the books. So we can answer that question much better. But last year it was nearly 100,000. So
No, it was like 120, I think.
Was it 120?
I think it was 120. So my guess would be is we're around 100,000 now.
Wow. And that's including
Ish.
everything,
That's
right?
with everything.
yes, we
Yes.
count
Yes.
everything.
When did you guys start taking things that weren't just books? Did it start with books and then it moved to other physical medias like DVDs and CDs, or was it?
That's a good question because I remember in the beginning when I started on the third year, we didn't have anything but books. So I don't know when we started. But
I don't know, Kathy. The puzzles are a hot ticket.
oh, we have hundreds of beautiful puzzles. But anyway, they are just, we have some grubby ones that people give us too, but, we always get those. But we have a load of the most beautiful puzzles I have ever seen.
I think in my 18 years, I don't remember ever not taking them in some form. So I think it's been a while.
It has been a while. But when we started going to big places, which has been a while.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So what are kind of the rules for donating? Like what can't you donate? What do you guys turn away?
Well, we don't turn them away, but if you give us old computer books, nobody uses those, so we have to recycle them. And we recycle a lot of the old textbooks that people give us and other things that are just really, and most people are wonderful. I don't want to make it sound like there's a lot, but some people will give us things that are not clean or broken, and we have to recycle those. So we ask you that you recycle those yourself. What else?
Yeah. Encyclopedias, unfortunately, are something we really can't take because, we can't sell them.
Yeah.
They don't move.
Kids aren't using book encyclopedias anymore.
That's not a
Hardly
thing.
anyone else is either.
And the Reader's Digest, those condensed Reader's Digest
Oh.
books, we don't take things like that if we
Gotcha.
can help it.
Unless they're large print, and they do take
Sure.
those because we don't get a whole lot of large print, and there are people who need large print, so we take that.
And VHS.
Oh, and
No more
VHS,
VHS.
tapes.
Yeah.
And you can't even recycle those. You have to throw them away.
Do we have cassette tapes?
Well, we get them, but
I
I
can't
don't
remember.
think we. I
Don't
don't
sell
think
them?
Well, we do in some of the children's books because
True.
we get the book and the CD,
See, we're so
cassette tape.
massive. We are there 24/7. It feels like, and even we can't remember sometimes.
No, but we get, because a lot of teachers used cassette tapes with books, and so we get those together, and there's a bunch of them.
You guys mentioned earlier DKG is an organization of retired teachers, right?
It's an International Society of Women in Education, is how it's listed.
So not necessarily retired. There are many of us who are not yet.
Current and retired.
Yes.
Wonderful.
And
Right.
not just teachers.
Librarians, counselors, people that perhaps work in the administrative area of education. And if you have a nursery or something and run a preschool, you could be a member. So as long as you're educating children in some way, and
We have several,
and
yeah.
even adults, educating adults too.
Yeah, we have several para-educators. So,
Nice.
yeah, it's just any woman who's in education
Gotcha.
can be at.
I know that the proceeds from the used book sale go to educational organizations every year. So what are some of those educational organizations? And then do you know how much you guys made at last year's used book sale?
Well, I can tell you we have a $100,000 endowment at the University of Wyoming for students that are going into education.
We started that in we'd been giving individual scholarships, and let's see, I can't remember when we started, but we didn't take very long to make up $100,000. But 2024 is when we decided to quit giving individual scholarships, which we gave for all those years from 83 to 24. But in 24 we decided to create an endowment. So we have $100,000 at UW, we have $100,000 at LCCC. We have $50,000 at the Children's Garden, at the Botanic Garden. And of course, we give money besides that. Oh, and we have $84,000 in an endowment at the library. So
Every year, we ask the community that works with children or in some form of education for children or adults to submit grants around the same time as our book sale. And then we figure out how much we can give back out from our proceeds from the book sale. And then we award those grants every year. And so we've done grants to All City Children's Chorus, the Boys and Girls Club, the Old West Museum, Safe Harbor, several of the clubs for the schools in town, the YMCA, all over the place.
And the symphony is fun because they have instrument petting, and they take that around to schools, but they do it also at the Paul Smith Children's Village. We sponsor that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's
so-
great. Yeah. I was curious on the note of pricing and dividing things up that way. How do you guys decide the pricing on each item?
The pricing has stayed stable for as long as I have known. We have not raised prices yet. There's been discussion about it. There is every year. But as it stands right now for this sale, any adult books, so basically the big room, hardcovers are $2, no matter how big or little it is.
Just how horrible is that? So you can come buy a whole lot of those for what you'd pay in one book.
And paperbacks are $1
Gotcha. Yeah.
for basically the whole room, unless it's in the section that's specially priced.
Makes
Right,
sense.
we do
And those
have
are-
special prices.
Yeah, and those are
Gotcha.
they are marked. So if it's not marked, it's $2 or $1. And then
Amazing.
when you come down to the kids' room, anything that's kids related. Now that's not the puzzles and games because sorry folks, our 3,000 piece puzzle is not for the kids.
Yes.
But we do have kids' puzzles.
We do, but if it's a kid's item, it's half that price. So hardcovers would be $1, and paperbacks are $2 for $1.
What about DVDs? Did you say that already? Or CDs and DVDs?
I believe the
And I don't-
DVDs are $1 a
I-
piece. I believe.
I don't have that written down, so sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm pretty sure they're $1 a piece.
And the puzzles vary because if they're
Yes.
really, really nice ones, I think the max was $5 in general, but she had some that were even more than that. But most of them are 5, 4, 3, 2, depending on how many pieces and what condition they're in. So, and we have so many puzzles. If you're a puzzle person, it's just amazing.
Yes. And I just kind of want to leave you guys with one last question. This is your 42nd year that you're doing this. What do you think keeps people coming back to the book sale every year, and what keeps you guys coming back to the book sale every year?
You know, we thought, and I remember the conversations that when things like the Kindle and the Nook and all the Audible,
Devices.
we thought that would be the end of us. we have only gotten bigger. And I truly believe this is a wonderful community service. And last year, in the first 10 minutes that we were open, we clocked 600 people through the door with other people waiting in line out there. So people just keep coming. And so as long as they keep coming, we'll keep doing it if we can find a place big enough.
Of course, yes.
And I think there's just that joy of having so many things in one place to look at that you can just kind of pick from. It's like the library where you can go in and get a whole bag, but you don't have to return them. You know, it's just that joy of being able to go in and find something that you were looking for, or maybe you didn't know you were looking for, but hey, there it is.
And we didn't mention that the first week, the prices are what Nicole said.
Oh, that's true.
The second week, we sell a large donut box for $10. You have to buy our box at the door, and you can fill it with anything. So think about that.
Well, and when we say donut box, we're talking about like a large copy box.
And I also wanted to say that there are 3 chapters of Delta Kappa Gamma in Cheyenne, and we are Upsilon chapter. We like that to be known too, that we're Upsilon.
Those were kind of all my questions for you guys. Was there anything else related to the book sale at all that we didn't get to talk about or that you wanted people to know? Or
We open on March 7th at 8 a.m. So we're open the 7th and the 8th, that first weekend, and that's the price by the book. And then the second weekend is the 14th and 15th, and that will be by the box, by the big box.
And if we happen to have snow, it will be the next weekend. I believe that's the 21st and 22nd.
Yeah, we do have those reserved for in case of.
So just realize that you can come and buy 10 books for $20, and if you don't enjoy the book, it's no big deal if you don't read it. You can donate it back to us.
oh yes, I remember any of the extra books at the end you guys bring to the little libraries or to the Goodwill,
That's
right?
part of what we're planning on doing, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a book rescue crew that's going to take boxes of books, and then we'll just keep like a box or 2 in our cars, and then throughout the year as we're just driving around, if we see a little free library that's got some space, we'll just toss a book or 2 in there.
And we also give, one of the members started taking every single children's book that was left, and we would take them to, well, last year I remember going to Pioneer Park and to the Y, which of course we can't do, for the free lunch program for the children in the summer. And we would just set the boxes out and let the kids take whatever they wanted.
And
That's
then
great.
if anyone has any other questions or that they're trying to find out answers to about the book sale, we have a website you can go to. It's DKG Upsilon, and I'll spell this all out, but DKGUpsilonWY.org. And so that's DKGUpsilonWY.org. O-R-G. And hopefully that will answer every question you have. We also have a Facebook page and an Instagram. Or you can call one of the phone numbers listed on all of the information.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for coming in today. I appreciate it so much.
Oh, we had fun. We were excited to get to go on a podcast.
Thank you, Taylor.
And now for the events coming up this week. Just as a disclaimer, this list doesn't include the ongoing exhibits happening in town. Today, February 27th, Central High School has their musical Freaky Friday at 7 p.m. Also, True Troop Theater has the first day of their show, Adults, at Double H Home Loans at 6:30 p.m. And Shine Little Theater Players is in for another weekend of Almost Maine, playing at 7 p.m. at the Mary Godfrey Playhouse. Central's show is also playing tomorrow at 2 p.m., and Adults is playing again tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. at the Wagon Hound Wine Company. Also, Almost Maine is playing again 7 p.m. tomorrow and has a matinee on Sunday at 2 p.m. On Saturday, February 28th, there's a greenhouse tour at 10 a.m. at the Cheyenne Botanic Gardens, and the annual Black History Youth Show and program called My Shot, My Time is at 11:30 a.m. at the Holy Temple Church. Later, there's also the Black Excellence Project and Photography exhibit taking place from noon to 3 p.m. at the Louis Event Venue. Then, there's a Laramie County Community College faculty showcase at the Sir Bragg Prentice Auditorium at LCCC at 3 p.m. and a poetry reading at the Clay Paper Scissors Gallery at 7 p.m. On Sunday, March 1st, the library is hosting the Poetry Ourselves State Finals competition in the Cottonwood Room from 2 to 4 p.m. Then, LCCC has a Music is Magic concert at 3 p.m. in the Serbrook Prentice Auditorium. And the Cats and Coffee Connections Cafe has their last event ever, which is their March Book Club meeting from 4 to 6 p.m. The evening will also offer a Gary Owens comedy show at 7:30 p.m. at the Cheyenne Civic Center. On Monday, March 2nd, this is day 2 of the Poetry Out Loud State Finals competition, which commences at 10 a.m. at the Lincoln Cheyenne. Then, the library has a monthly volunteers meeting at 4 p.m. On Tuesday, March 3rd, from 3 to 5 p.m., there's library to business drop-in session times at the library on the 3rd floor. On Wednesday, March 4th, there's chair yoga and poetry at the library from 2:30 to 3:20 p.m. in the Cottonwood Room, as well as an American Girl doll tea party from 4 to 5 p.m. in the Early Literacy Center. Then, there's a presentation on Wyoming and the frontiers of women's suffrage from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. in the Cottonwood Room. On Thursday, March 5th, the library has a C.J. Box book signing for his new book, The Crossroads, from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. And the Lincoln Cheyenne is hosting comedian Trevor Wallace for his Alpha Beta Male comedy tour. The Cheyenne Civic Center is also hosting a tour and comedy show that night, presented by board teachers called Is It Friday Yet?, also at 7:30 p.m. For the full list of events, go to wyomingnews.com/calendar. In the headlines this week, LCSD1 parents filed 2 complaints over their daughter's dyslexia intervention. When Andrea Lovato and Jay Jones realized their child was struggling to learn to read, they assumed that they could rely on Cole Elementary to help. About a year later, they said their daughter has yet to get the help she needs. The process has led them to out-of-district nonprofits for dyslexia diagnosis and assistance. They've also submitted 2 formal complaints to the Wyoming Department of Education. Next, the company overseeing Horse Creek Quarry seeks to expand operations from 15 acres to 600, or more specifically, 585 acres. The plan was recently announced via letter to nearby landowners on February 3rd. The company that sent the letter is LG Everest Incorporated, a construction and material company based in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Then, in the legislature, the sunset repeal for long-term homeowner property tax exemption advances. Lawmakers moved forward Tuesday with a measure to permanently extend and cap the existing 50% property tax exemption for long-term Wyoming homeowners. Members of the House Revenue Committee also advanced 2 other tax-related bills, including Senate File 79 and Senate File 80. Thank you again for tuning into Wyoming Watch. Tune in next week for more local news.